As many people do, I find myself kind of just sitting there scrolling aimlessly on my phone, particularly like Reddit, you know, kind of just mindlessly scrolling, just looking at story after story of just not, nonsense. Stuff that's not even that important directly to my life. Now, that's not to say that like world events aren't important or that you should just be completely oblivious to everything. I'm not saying that, but if you're sitting there kind of just scrolling nonstop, I think they call it doomscrolling, without even thinking, you really got to stop yourself sometimes and just kind of ask yourself, what the hell am I doing? What is this doing for me? I think we get kind of addicted to just seeing whatever's going on. Despite us doing nothing really productive by doom scrolling, our brain is getting them dopamine hits of news and stuff that it just non-stop. And it's not to say that all of it's bad. Sometimes you find some pretty interesting stuff on Reddit if you're actively seeking out knowledge on something. However, from what I've come to find is that endless scrolling really just doesn't. It's like eating junk food. It's like junk food for your brain. It's way different than actively going on the internet and researching some sort of topic or news article or news story that happened and trying to find factual information about it. It's way different. You only see so much through social media or whatever when it comes to news. People will twist it and word it differently, and a lot is just put out for shock value to get you to click on their videos. I mean, you post a thumbnail, and you could do it with AI these days, of missiles or bombs being launched, and you can put a flag of any country and a political figure, looking like that or whatever, and you could put any sort of title that, oh, we're all doomed, we're screwed, so-and-so just said this, so-and-so just said that, and you could make these thumbnails very terrifying. And your brain latches onto those thumbnails. They see the terrifying message, the terrifying thumbnail, the words with the exclamation points, and your brain clicks on the video. Because, oh shit, what's going on that I don't know about? And this isn't new. I mean, even mainstream news stations do that. They play I seen it the other day on one of the news stations as I was flipping through channels. I generally don't watch the news. I tend to like to research whatever's going on in the world for myself rather than watching news stations, because they can be very biased and they can twist the truth of what's going on. And I couldn't believe it. It was I think it was over what's going on with the situation with Iran, of the current military operation, whatever they want to call it. And they were playing when they were talking about they were playing this music, dun 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 dun, and I was almost laughed like, is this a movie? Is this a movie? Like, I never knew that they did that with the news. Like, it was dun 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 dun, like, and I was just like, this can't be real. Like, this isn't like They're literally just trying to make you as afraid and terrified as possible. Because if you can keep people afraid, they're going to keep watching. The brain gets addicted to just hearing about horrible atrocities going on around the world. You know, it spikes your cortisol, it spikes your adrenaline, and you just get hooked. You don't want to turn the television on. You just leave, and some people just leave the television on in the background. Go about their day, cleaning the house, cooking dinner, listening to the news nonstop. And it's never anything good. Now, I'm not saying you should be totally, completely oblivious to the things that are going on around the world. You should pay attention to some degree. But if you're just absorbing information without fact-checking, without, going on the internet or using even any critical thinking, then you're just feeding your mind all this just negative shit. And it's not good for your mental health. Not at all. I'm sure people have enough to deal with in their everyday lives, their personal lives, whatever, whether it's work or school, family issues, mental health, physical health, whatever it may be. And then you want to just pile on hearing about wars and all sorts of terrible stuff that's going on halfway around the world. It's no wonder you can't sleep. It's no wonder you're depressed or you're stressed or you're anxious all the time. You're constantly being bombarded with just negative information. And a lot of times, the truth is stretched so thin for ratings and views. And I'm not trying to get super political or, go after mainstream media. I can't say for sure. Because the only way to know truthfully what's going on is to be in that location. You really don't know what's going on, even with all the information that we have with social media, the internet. You're never gonna know exactly what's going on, and you have to kind of accept that we really, really don't truly understand what's going on. We can make assumptions. We can use critical thinking. We can do our research and try to find truth. And you should try to find truth. But we're never going to completely know exactly what's going on around the world. It's so complex, and between politics and everything that goes on, human nature, politics, human psychology, it's just all so complex and crazy that it's very difficult for anybody to really grasp what's going on. And so I say, if you find yourself overwhelmed, doom scrolling, freaked out, scared about what's going on around the world, that sometimes your best bet is to just, turn the television off for a little while. Even turn the computer off and go for a walk. Be more concerned about your present situation, your little slice of life that exists. Not to be ignorant of what's going on, but if you're going to allow your mind to be involved with political issues or the major news around the world, your best bet is to do your own research. Not to just blindly believe whatever's put out on the internet. Because everybody has their own opinion. Everybody has their own bias. And everybody, you're going to hear from their perspective. Your best bet is to, like I said, do your own research. Think for yourself. And if it's too overwhelming, just stop. Take a break from the news. Take a break from what's going on around the world. More than likely, there's not a whole lot that you can do about it. And that's kind of like a weird advice to give people. But I think for like normal everyday life, if you're just trying to go about your business and work or go to school or trying to accomplish things in your life, and you get so sidetracked by, you know, what's happening around the world. I mean, these are some crazy times where you're hearing about crazy shit going on all over the world. But let me tell you something. There's never been a time in human history where crazy, chaotic events haven't been happening. The only difference is now we have so much exposure to it. We've got the internet, social media. It's you know, back in the day, you know, before all this technology and stuff, you didn't know what was going on across the world, halfway across the world. We also didn't have the technology that we have you can find out what's going on in any part of the world. You type in what's happening in so-and-so today. I want to know what's happening in, China or Australia or France. And you type in, you can find information about what's going on in any part of the world. We didn't used to have that. Times are different. But the craziness, the chaos, everything that happens, the human mind can only conceptualize so much. We evolved from simple hunter and gatherers, concerned about feeding ourselves, clothing ourselves, and putting a roof over our head. It's impossible for the human mind to conceptualize geopolitics or wars happening halfway around the world, conflicts and all sorts of crazy stuff that goes on. So should you live in fear? No. Should you be completely ignorant to what's happening? No. But what you should do is find a semblance of peace in your own life. Focus on what's in front of you. Your job, school, your family, your friends. Focus on what is really important. The future's, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen today. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, the next month, the next year. We have no idea. We have no idea. When you accept the fact that chaos is just a part of life, the future's not set. When you come to an acceptance of these things, lose your fear of it and just focus on really what's important in life. Because that's all you really can do. That's all you can do. The alternative is just being afraid and miserable and scared and anxious and depressed about everything. And there's no wonder why people would be feel any of those negative emotions. I mean, life is chaotic and crazy, and sometimes can just suck. It can be terrible sometimes. You can be afraid to walk out your front door sometimes. But if you can find some semblance of peace and happiness and tranquility for whatever time that you have on this planet, I think that's a better way. Do what you can. Try to remain positive. Try to learn. You know, take care of your physical body. Take care of your mind. You know, learn more. Study, grow, you know, do things. Build things, you know. Try to develop yourself personally. You know, one of the best things that you can do with, you know, the external world is scary and terrifying, and a lot of it you have no control over. The only thing that you have control over is your inner world. And maybe that's the key. Because you have to accept that there's not a whole lot you can do about the external world. We have some influence over it, but the only influence that we have over it comes directly from inside of us. How we choose to live our lives. And I say the best way to live your life is to follow your own path. Think for yourself. Try to take care of yourself the best that you can, physically, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. Enjoy the time with your friends, your family, and the people that you care about. Try to build a life that's meaningful, that can withstand all of the craziness and all the suffering, and try to find a little slice of sanity while you're at it, because it's all you can really do. Listen, if you like this video, like, subscribe, hit that notification button, comment, tell me what you think, tell me about your ideas. We got more videos coming up. Stay tuned for the next one.